Hello, it's good to have you join us again for your favorite program on NTA2 Lagos Network Center, our flagship program, Close Flow, bringing into the studio distinguished Nigerians to come and share with us experiences, impressions, and of course, maybe sometimes their fears about how Nigeria can become one of the greatest nations on the face of the earth. Today, we're going to be looking at something a little bit, sometimes you may think it's frantic, you may think it's anxious, you may think it's a little bit far-fetched, you may think it's something that you should want to consign, to just the medical people and let them be dealing with it whilst you just live your life, as it were. And that's about a learning difficulty, or some people call it learning disability. Some people call it, learning deficiency. I don't know, but I think it's just a learning challenge for some of us, because it affects both children and adults, really. For some people, it can be a lifelong situation. For others, they just may find a way out of it. For what I studied so far, says this difficulty, you experience it in reading, writing, and comprehension. So if you cannot comprehend what the story you are reading, so how do you want to understand it? And also, you may actually find that such people, they are normal in the sense that they are very intelligent, they are also very creative, and then their vision is not impaired. So it's not like the sight is bad, so the child is not seeing properly, or the adult is not seeing properly, and therefore may not understand what is reading or writing. And now, by our statistics, poor as our statistics may be in Nigeria, we have 1.5 million cases per year, per annum, in this country. And what am I talking about here? I'm talking about, something that, if I say it now, you may be wondering what it's all about, but it's dyslexia. Now, I have the founder and chief executive of One World Africa. One World Africa is actually an NGO that is trying to see, how do we deal with this? How do we understand this? How do we process it? How do we begin to escalate information about what actually dyslexia is? So who are the dyslexics? How do you get to know them? How do you help them out of that condition? So I have with me in the studio a distinguished Nigerian, a young girl in her 20s, who is going to be telling us how she came about this, how she has decided to put the right foot forward and become altruistic to teach all of us, both adults and children, what dyslexia is. My pleasure to welcome her to Close Flow today, our very guest, Oladoyin Idowu. You're welcome to Close Flow. Thank you so much. Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. In a sense, what you are trying to do is almost like a path-finding thing. It's almost... Well, how did you get into this? Okay, so
I was struggling with school. I finished from secondary school. I was about to proceed into higher education. I got into that space, and it was difficult. I had my parents pressuring me. There was pressure all over everywhere.
That you need to get university admission, and you're not getting it.
I got into A levels because I was even too young to get into university, and the struggle was just so much. My results wasn't reflecting my struggle, but I knew my personal struggle. And one day I just was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I decided to just come back home for Christmas holiday one time. I refused to go back to school in January. And of course, you don't drop out in a Nigerian parent home. Yes, so it was a war.
It was a
war. Like everybody was going on. Okay? Exactly. And I'm like, but eventually, yes. I'm a person that I am very ambitious. Personally, I'm very ambitious. So I was also very concerned.
Why this is happening?
While all of this was happening, I'm like, I mustn't end up this way. I can't even end up at home. So I had to figure out what exactly was wrong with me. So one time I went online and I researched. I asked Google if I was dumb. And Google came about articles, quotes, poems on dumb, stupid stuff like that, dumbness and all of those things, spoken words and stuff. But I came across this collection of articles by an educator who was discussing reasons why students might think they may be dumb. And she spoke about things like ADD, that's attention deficit disorder, or ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. She spoke about autism, spoke about dyslexia. And I read about dyslexia, and it felt like I spoke to the person that was like, right,
talking about me,
the article. And that was like the first moment of clarity for me throughout my life, like my entire life. That was the first time I understood all that has been
the struggles.
Yeah, all of the struggles that I've had in classes, everything. And immediately I came across it. I was hungry for more information. So I don't like to read text. So I downloaded audio notes, infographics, YouTube's, whatever it was that I could lay my hands on that had dyslexia attached to it. Then it was clear that I could share these characteristics. Then I wanted to know if I was. What I had immediately was this online software for me to like.
Wait a minute, don't let's because I'm sure many will probably be lost now. Everything she's doing so far is online. She's Googled it. She's found out. She's trying to attend to it. Now you say to me on ground, that is 2 feet on the ground on the street here in Nigeria, you don't have anything contemporary that you can like interact with and ask if this is what is happening to me?
Now we do. At the time when I found that was in 2015, there was nothing. And
Excuse me?
Yes.
Are you saying it was blank?
It was blank. I researched. We had some educators that wrote some articles here in Nigeria, but nothing comprehensive. They would write articles on issues with their students in classes, but no direction of where to go. And that was what prompted me to do something about dyslexia, because I dropped out of school and I didn't want any other student to
go through.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's come back to going online now to, as it were, interrogate and see if you can find an answer. So what did you do?
Okay, so I went online and there were different softwares on testing on dyslexia. I took the test, and he said I was severely dyslexic, also because I was left-handed, so I was right brain dominant and the likes. But being paranoid and being a perfectionist, I wanted something very accurate, because I was like, online is usually not always accurate and all of that. So I started to search, and I found organizations outside of the country. I was looking for organizations here in Nigeria. I found nothing. So I contacted my aunt, who works for an NGO at the time. She's a medical doctor, Mrs. Tomo, and she told me she was going to help me find someone around. Eventually, I did a cognitive analysis testing, and that was how I was able to tell what my level of brain dominance.
Yes.
That was what I settled for as a dyslexia test at the time.
Okay, now, so cognitive test. Now, if you're going to explain that to, don't let me say your pair, if you're going to explain that to a parent, for instance, who now watching this and wondering, is that boy also like my doing that I'm watching now, or is that my daughter also going through this? How do I? So cognitive test, what would that do for you? Okay, so
we have our brains, and our brains are wired, like they basically control everything that we do. We have the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere.
Yes.
In a way, you can tell dyslexia depending on the part of the brain that is more dominant. We use both sides of our brain the same way we use both of our hands, but we use one hand more than the other one.
Yes.
So it's not like you can't use the other part of the hand. It's just that one is like more dominant for you.
Yes.
So that's the same thing that happens in the brain. So some people are right brain dominant, some people are left brain dominant. If you're right brain dominant, that's when it controls creativity, 3D imagination, spatial reasoning. If you're left brain dominant, that controls mathematics, verbal processing, auditory reasoning, and all of those things like that. So most dyslexics are right brain dominant.
I see.
So that's why they struggle in classes or activities that are required for them to use their left brain. So cognitive analysis will tell you what part of the brain is more dominant. Then you can tell, okay, this is my strength, this is my weaknesses. That can also.
Okay, now is that why some people categorize dyslexia as a gift? Is that why they think it's a gift?
Yes, that is why people think dyslexia is a gift. It's not like most dyslexics or cases that I have come across personally, cases that I have read about. Dyslexics, if they have, might probably if they have impairments, maybe in the reading, the writing, they usually are gifted
In other areas,
creativity.
yes.
So it's just that they have this. So even with the reading and writing, they can learn it like through
Creatively, yes.
Yes, yeah, exactly, creatively. So those areas where they lack, they have ways where they can complement them. So that's why I don't even like to call dyslexia a disability.
Yes, okay. All right, now let's move on, because there is something that is frightening here. Now, so in our educational system, or educational systems, don't let me just even say, because now we're looking from infancy up to university level. How alarming are the gaps? How disturbing do you think the gaps are on what we know about dyslexia, what we can do with dyslexics? How do we help them to go to school, get proper education without feeling like a dropout?
Okay, well, I would say that there's been progress made so far, but not enough. I would say like progress we've made between 2015 till now, the level of awareness, I would call it maybe 8%.
8?
Yes, because we have Lagos, for instance.
8%.
Yes, 8%. We have 36
That's
states.
like a drop in the ocean.
Yes, we have like 36 states in Nigeria,
yes.
And in Lagos, we've not even covered the major areas of Lagos on awareness. Maybe Ikeja, well aware, people on the island well aware, but we have the Paja, the Drew, all of those areas, the Ajegunle,
the Badagry,
and
the Ikorodu.
not to talk of outside of Lagos. Do you understand? So I would call it 8 to 100, like we're in the 8%, and there's like
level.
more to fill up.
Now, something else again that is a little bit frightening in our environment is a question of data management. Number one, to even gather the data, we don't have the capacity for that. Then to analyze or interrogate the data, we also don't seem to have the capacity for that. So how many, well, we say the United Nations says we have 1.5 million children, so how do we deal with that kind of figure?
We have psychologists, and in Nigeria, we do not even employ psychologists. We have people who go to school for majority of these courses that they can use to help people with dyslexia or other learning difficulties. But people will graduate from psychology and end up going to work in a bank. So that's the reality of things. So we have professionals that can do this thing. But if we have the right government bodies that like prompt these actions, like train psychologists, ensure that they can be employed, things like that, I'm sure that this can be solved.
Okay, let's come back to the basics. Let's start from the word go. So how do you begin to know that you might have dyslexia? What are the things that you'll probably be going through that will be like the struggles that you had? What are some of those things? Okay,
so dyslexia signs differ according to the age group. But one thing that is usually very common amongst all is like the delayed learning to read. When you're having delay in learning to read, when as an adult you're reading but you're not comprehending, there's delayed memorizing, the issue with inverting your letters or your numbers, issues with learning to spell, even writing.
Yeah.
Most people who are dyslexic think in pictures. So
they think
in pictures.
So
if you're reading, let's come practical. If you're reading something that you can easily relate to, maybe let's say the psychology now, and psychology in a way it relates to like things you see every time. But science is like the pure sciences. There's no how you're going to read your chemistry and you'll be able to form a mental picture of it. So that's the thing. So dyslexic think in pictures, dyslexic, they can't tell their left hand from their right hand, usually difficulties with telling the time from the clock. There's so many varies according to age and the level of severity.
Now, I like that. According to age. So actually, adults too can be dyslexic.
Yes. Yeah, we have dyslexics in the workplace. That person.
Excuse me. You mean like we have in the studio here, you have dyslexics, they can actually be with you without you knowing?
Yes, we have dyslexics even in the workplace. We have dyslexics everywhere. The number is like very high. We have 1 in 5 people living with dyslexia. So it's just that it is undiagnosed. We have dyslexics in the workplace. We have dyslexics in your home. That's how common
It is.
It is. So in the workplace, how you can identify dyslexia is maybe that worker that would run away from anything written or writing, but that person probably fluent in like vocals, in creativity and things like that. But the person just
you will
doesn't
excel in
want
all those
to-
areas. But when it comes to now,
let's write a document, let's send an email. You see that this person might be efficient, but when it comes to this email part of it, the person is like lagging behind and stuff like that. So we have all of those. Yeah, we have that.
Now, okay, we have looked at the educational sector. So if we now come to the work environment, do we have the right disposition, therefore, in dealing with this in the work environment? Do you think we have that in terms of our, managerial disposition in dealing with, staffers who seem to be exhibiting this?
Yes. Basically, those workers who have dyslexia, they're not like useless. They have areas of strength that they're good at, and it's at your loss if you're using a staff in an area that they're not good at, rather than focusing on making sure that they're using them in the areas where they're great. So that's it. It's simple logic, really. You know their areas of strength. Use them for that. The areas where they lag behind, use someone that can do it. It's not that complicated. But
to you, it's not that complicated.
But again, being in Nigeria, I tell every dyslexic this thing as well. Also for myself, I wouldn't say that because I have difficulties reading, I would not read. I'm back in school now studying psychology, and it is required of me to read to write exams. So I have found ways that can help me learn, that can help me read. So it is required that everybody, like, you level the playground. I tell every dyslexic that level the playground. Do not let them.
So you got to up your game. You can't keep saying because I lack this, then I'm going to remain here. That's what you're trying to say.
Yes.
Okay, now, but let's move it a little bit now. So you have said something about the fact that we are going about 80%. 8% out of 100 is not.
It's nothing.
It's not comfortable, yes. Now, so One Word Africa, what do you think you can do with that? What are you doing right now? What have you done so far? What has been the response like? So what are you getting? Are you discouraged?
Well, discouraged sometimes, but I won't stop. That's it. No matter how discouraged I get, I won't stop. We started in 2016. That was when One Word Africa was founded. We've raised awareness. It is very difficult to get support. So far, One Word Africa has been sustained basically by myself, some friends, and majorly my father. So it is very difficult because we have that like large figure, and there is nothing, no funds, no resources to help these people. We have people on the wait list currently in One Word Africa, and we're still trying to see how we can help them. So that's it. If we have solving dyslexia,
I just want to. Let's clarify this because we have corporate Nigeria also watching this kind of show and getting the kind of information you're passing out.
Yes.
When we say we lack support, so you've approached some members of the corporate Nigeria and they're like, what's that?
Yes, we've approached them, but again, I don't like to sound entitled. I understand the fact that dyslexia is like very strange. They also understand the whole misconception in Nigeria. Everybody's starting NGOs. Everybody is like, you're stepping back. You don't want to be duped. Exactly. But yes, we have approached. We've done a lot of things.
Due diligence.
Yes, but basically what we do now as One Word Africa is we do what our hands can handle.
Now, so in pushing this to the streets, where did we start from? Did you went to schools, or went to markets, or went to parks? Or
yes, I launched One Word Africa with an awareness in Lekki Ikoyi Link Bridge in October 2016.
On the bridge?
Yes, Lekki Ikoyi Link Bridge. I had some friends, we wore the vest, we shared pamphlets, and we spoke to people around the area. That was how we started. We also did yes.
On the bridge?
Yes, Lekki Ikoyi Link Bridge on a Saturday morning. That's.
And they didn't think you guys, or you guys are weird or something?
No, it was well, that was also to our advantage here. They were curious to know what we were doing there, and we were happy to let them know what we were doing there. So that was it. So we were able to carry out advocacy around the area. We got right responses. Yes, we got people calling us back afterwards, and as well we also went to schools to screen some dyslexia movies to help do awareness in public schools. We touched Ibadan, There's Oyo State and some places in Lagos at the time when we first started, and we've not stopped. We've done teacher training workshops and
I like that, teacher training.
Yes.
To create awareness amongst teachers about what dyslexia is.
Yes, and how to help their students.
And how did that go? Did that go down well with the teachers?
Yes, it's beautiful actually, but majorly the challenges teachers usually would have is, fine, we provide them details on how to help their students who have dyslexia, yes, but majorly they tell you that, okay, fine, it's not as if they don't want to help their students or they don't want to teach them or anything like that, but they want to be able to teach children that can write external examinations. So if you teach them the way they can learn as dyslexics, you test them the way they can excel as dyslexics, what then happens when it's time to write external examination, when it's the way it is? So no matter how much we try from the grassroots level, it still goes down to curriculum and policy.
And that is where we are going to have an issue right now.
That is where the issue is.
Now, so for you, you're quite young, so I mean the future is still very bright. Now, for you, you can redefine, the space, as it were, and how you fit into it. But for the adults who are caught in this, what way do you see? Yes, what way forward do you see for them?
Okay, so for the adult, even for youth like myself, majorly, what we try to do is take care of the mental health impact of dyslexia. Because so many of these people have lived with this thing, they don't know what it is.
I need to clarify that. Mental health aspects.
Yes.
Yes, there are some negatives there.
Yes, it affects the self-esteem, it leads to depression, you possibly drop out of school, or you're finding it difficult to do things that your peers will normally do. Your teacher has probably called you stupid, your parent has probably called you lazy, all of those things, and you grow up without knowing
with
why.
Those impressions,
Yeah, and you don't even know why. I think it's, for me, if someone calls me lazy now, I actually understand what
were
it
you called
is.
lazy before?
Oh, why not? I have been flogged. There's so much that has happened, and that's why we were trying to advocate in schools for teachers or parents to stop flogging that student because they are failing. I believe that I don't think any student is dumb.
Now, we have to be very careful here. The way African settings are, especially in the villages, they think a child is just being stubborn, not wanting to go to school, and therefore you need to, as it were, beat the devil out of him or something. That's the impression. So you're saying that may not be the case? That
may not be the case. We have, students are struggling in school, yes. This is an analogy I also like to give. There's a young boy, he's finding it very difficult to read, and if he doesn't read well, you're still going to insult him or flog him. So probably just act out so that to not even read at all. What's the point of reading something once? What's the point of wasting your time on something you won't grab? Do you understand?
Yes.
So that's what I feel is wrong with
the system.
Yes, that's what I feel is wrong with the system. So if teachers can embrace this, it's not complicated. I know that the limitations or challenges we might be concerned about is maybe it will be very expensive
because you have to add additional facilities.
Yes, but it is actually not complicated. If we have people who are in the colleges of education already teaching
learning this, yes,
teachers before they're even they come out to become teachers. We have people going to schools, head of schools, Ministry of Education. It is not complicated. Applying dyslexia or teaching students with dyslexia is not complicated. And if you even apply that training in your classroom, it's a win-win for every student, actually.
Yeah, because some of the, as it were, the normal, we also be able to use the same method.
Okay. Exactly. So it's not like at a loss. You don't need to take dyslexia. We have some severe cases of dyslexia, though.
Chronic.
Yes, very chronic, where maybe really slow, they had to learn at different pace with their mates and all of that. I can understand maybe sometimes where you need to take them away for some special training or anything like that. But in mainstream classrooms, you can still try teaching a dyslexic person and teaching other students without having, you just have to expand your lesson note, and maybe you should just be willing to do that for your students.
And then find new examples that you can cite, yes.
And also I think that in Nigeria we need to expand our knowledge of testing, standardized testing. We need to expand it to accommodate some other forms, like the oral.
Yes.
And
okay, now I like what you just said there now. So if you now come back to what the universities are doing, so How much of the researchers at the university level are going to correcting some of these lapses, these gaps that you have just identified now? Do we have that happening here in this environment?
If it is happening, I have not seen. I would, however, acknowledge the fact that I know some people that have been working tirelessly. I've met people along this journey that have also trying to fight what I'm trying to fight, and so it is, progress is being made, but it's still always challenged by the fact that the right authorities are not, like, there's no access to the right authorities or the right resources and the likes. So that's it.
Okay, now let's find a way to get to the right resources. So, One World Africa. So where are you pushing the envelopes to? Have you gotten any government attention? Have you been able to push the advocacy to the point where we can begin to lobby?
Majority of I know some educators that I've been trying to work with, and they've been trying to also push as much as they can, but it still just gets stuck at the level of government where we have to do policy or do something. The bureaucracy is very complicated actually, and it's slow, and we have people that need this thing and they need it now.
And you are saying wait for approval.
Let's do this and all of that. It's not helping matters at all. So that part, it gets frustrating. You just want to give up, but we're still pushing, and we're still hoping for the best. We also have international support. That's actually majorly what has been the backbone for dyslexia advocacy,
wow.
At least for One World Africa.
International?
Yes, we've had international support. We're partners with Noticeability in the US. We have Billy's Quest, and also we have the International Dyslexia Foundation.
Yes.
They have been like forthcoming with resources, because we don't have resources in Nigeria
to deal with this
thing. So they've been forthcoming with resources that could be used.
Now we'll talk about resources, but let me just a flip of the coin. So dietary, you can't correct this with diets. You can't eat proper food to help your brain to begin to get accustomed to the way you should.
Dyslexia is not a medical condition, and we should stop seeing it like that.
I like that.
A doctor cannot even diagnose dyslexia. I remember when I was much younger,
yes.
And I was also trying to wonder what exactly was wrong with me, and I would go for a doctor's appointment, maybe because I have malaria, and then I add to my symptoms of what I'm experiencing that I can't tell the time from the clock, and the man is not interested in that aspect of things because he doesn't.
No, I want you to say that again, please, Doyin, because some moms don't understand this. The child is looking at the clock, the face of the clock, and the child cannot tell the time. So
till now, I can't tell the time from an analog wristwatch. So
excuse me. So if I have a wristwatch here now, if I ask you, Doyin, please, what the time is?
It won't be accurate. And I would take my time counting the 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and the rest. So I just would avoid it altogether. So yes, it happens. Then also automatically telling my left hand from my right hand as well. I cannot do that till date. I'm left-handed, so I probably hold a pen and try to see what hand I can write with.
Okay, now let me come back to that. We'll come to resources before we go for the. Somebody saying Doyin should take some water. But before we go for the water, left-handed, right-handed. When we were growing up as children, our parents actually will correct you. If you're left-handed, they will smack you that you should try and use your right hand. Do you think that is good for the children?
I do not agree to correcting the hand, because I've learned that the hand is also connected to the way our brains are wired. So
if the child is naturally left-handed, then just leave that child. If the child is right-handed,
yes, exactly.
Okay, so if parents have been following us, of course, when we allow Doyin to take a sip of the water, we don't have champagne here, so we'll take some water and then we'll come back. We want to deal with your questions and your comments, and of course, whatever queries you like to now throw at Doyin. Stay with us.
Experience unlimited super-fast internet access from Entel 4G. Entel. Live more.
We must dilate the eyes. We look for if they have cataract, look at the back of their eyes. They have glaucoma. To do a full workup for them.
You will remember the insurance check they will make. You will remember with Australia, going to be looking deeper than we ever looked in before to ensure that we close all the loopholes.
Every edition is an arresting conversation with distinguished Nigerians from various strata of the society, bearing their minds on how we can realize the Nigeria of our dreams. Join us live on Close Flow, Monday, every week here on NT2 Lagos Network Center. Close Flow. The conversation is about you. Hey beautiful, your eyes, your smile are all begging me to take you home tonight.
Now reading page 3.
Experience unlimited superfast internet access from Intel 4G.
Intel. Live more.
Thank you very much for staying with us. I'm sure many of us, we are gripped to the very edge of our seats trying to process what Doyin has been saying, because I can see eyes in that living room and in that offices going right, left, and center. Could that be me? Is that my child? Is that my sister? Is that, these questions are now. Is dyslexia? Is it hereditary? Is it?
Yes.
Is this genetical?
Yeah, we have evidences that links it to genetics. That you could be dyslexic and you can give birth to someone who's dyslexic. Or
you also say this clearly. Although you say so that my guess, so it can be.
Yeah, we have links. We have dyslexia that's been linked to genetics. So it could be your grandparent, and you could have it in your child. It could, it's in a circle.
Well, quickly, let me say a big thank you to all our viewers who have sent in questions and comments and who are trying to see how Doyin can help with their own situations. We are still expecting more comments and questions so that we can deal with this. Yeah, but before I read the first question, for you now, so depressions don't come anymore?
The depressions, okay, I won't call it depression, it's just momentary sadness, when it happens to every human being, when you want
do something and
you're not getting exactly that's it. But depression, not anymore. I've come to understand why I struggle, what I struggle with, and I've also come to learn how to even
deal with it and overcome it.
Yes, so that's it.
Okay, but is there anything about the threshold? Do you think people need to increase the threshold on how to deal with things like this, so that they, just like you've done, so it doesn't overwhelm you?
Yeah, it is very important to deal with this, because it happens even when it's not even a case of dyslexia. When you're going through stuff, when it's challenging everything you stand for as a human being, when it is like making you lose the things that you want the most, it makes you wonder why you're frustrated. It's just that's it. So do not let dyslexia be the reason why
an excuse.
Yeah, do not. Just find a way. I know that it is difficult. I know that there's not so much
resource for you to fall back
and all
on,
of that, but you can self-teach. In the absence of all of this, still we can reach you. You can self-teach.
Okay, so One World Africa can reach out to you, so just in case you are having challenges trying to discover where you are and what to do. This is Tosin from Oshodi. Tosin from Oshodi says, hello, my brother is left-handed, but my parents forced him to be right-handed. Throughout his primary school, it was a lot of struggle. Okay? When I got to secondary school, it was more. He had to be pulled out of a normal secondary school to a technical secondary school. is good with practical things, does that mean he's dyslexic?
I don't like to diagnose dyslexia until there's so many other, you've seen the other signs. So that is one of the signs, but there's more. So you have to, for your brother, you have to, you can check our website, onewordafrica.org, www.onewordafrica.org.
No, please, not everybody will have to grab as quickly as you are, so take it easy.
All right.
Yes, yes. So talk to Doyin now. So where we should go?
Okay, so for now, really, online resource.
Okay, so where the site you should go to?
www.onewordafrica.org, or just type dyslexia in Google.
Something will come up.
Dustin,
did you hear that? onewordafrica.org, that is our own organization, or just put dyslexia on Google, you will get some kind of response, and that may link you, it will backlink you to our own site and see how she can help out. Because she said to you, she cannot, not on this platform, actually diagnose. She might need to ask a lot more questions and probably see her brother. Okay? Thank you, Tosin, for sending that in. We have Olamide from Surulere. This is another long one. My friend dropped out of university because he said he couldn't cope. Yet, he was one of the, most creative guys in the department. Now he's designing luxury cars while waiting to secure admission abroad. This is Sheon from Malaysia. Sheon, you want to talk to him? So, what kind of state is that? Do you think we don't want to diagnose that either too?
Well, I do not. I cannot diagnose that again. But another thing, that's like even giving us a pointer and something we can throw back to the government. We are wasting the resources that we have in this country. We have smart students, we have creative students that the educational system have pulled out.
Thrown out, literally, yes.
They've been written off the system, but they have this gift. I know a particular case. I know someone personally. His name is Sheriff. Sheriff is very good with mathematics. Sheriff is a very brilliant person. But now he's
he cannot speak English.
And he can't read properly. Now he's dropped out. His parents have disowned because he is like the first of his family and all of those. And now he's trying to struggle with logistics business. So imagine
a mathematician.
Yes, so imagine all of those gifts wasted riding Okada trying to deliver goods. It shouldn't come to that. We don't have the the luxury to throw out the gifts that we have as Nigeria. Nigeria is not where it's supposed to be here. So why are we throwing out the things that can also be a part of making us what we're supposed to be?
And that goes straight to the policymakers that we should also look deeply at these issues. This is a 20-year-old girl trying to fill a gap that many of our experts that should be looking at. That's what she's saying here. This is Sheon from Malaysia. Thank you, Sheon, for letting us know what is going on with your friend. Olamide from Surulere says, have you tried to take the awareness to the public? Like Oshodi, Yaba, Surulere, because the less educated people might just take a dyslexic child for an Olodo.
We are trying to get it out there. We're still trying our best to expand our reach across Lagos, even outside of Lagos. We're trying our possible best, even across Africa, largely.
Because that's why you coined the name One Word Africa, because you don't want to limit, Nigeria.
We have internationally the statistics, the awareness, the resources, but in Africa, very, very limited. So we're trying as much as we can to get to Surulere, to get to Korodu, Yaba, wherever. It is in our utmost desire to get to you.
Okay, so about volunteers, do you ask volunteers to join you in some of these campaigns? Because Olamide is in Surulere, so probably Olamide can help. Is that what?
Yes. We accept volunteers. We would love to have efficient hands assisting us to work. So please reach out.
You don't want diversionary hands. You want efficient hands.
Efficient hands. We don't want people that would not meet deadlines or deliver on things that have been delegated to them. Efficient hands. We can't afford to pamper anyone right now.
So Olamide, if you want to do something about this, she's saying that this is not a playground. Okay, it's work and work and work. Okay, we have Kachi from Yaba says, how do you cope as a student? Does your education cost more or require more money? How can parents balance two types of children when you have this kind of situation? So how can a parent, maybe Kachi as a parent?
So far, I've been able to find inexpensive ways of learning. I've been able to come up with things that you can see easily around you. Personally, for me, learning as a student, I make use of YouTube videos. I convert my notes to infographics or audios and the many likes.
You convert your notes into infographics?
Yes.
Online?
Even with cardboards and markers and colored pencils and sticky notes, I do all of that. It takes a lot of data, however, getting resources that are different from what was provided to you in the classroom.
Yeah.
But that's the extra
mile.
That's the extra mile you have to
travel,
take.
yes.
Exactly. I tell dyslexics, it's not a lazy badge. It's not a badge of excuse. If you want to claim, because people also come with that what if someone is lazy and the person is just claiming dyslexia. So I tell dyslexics, it's not a lazy excuse. It's not a lazy badge. If you want to claim that you're dyslexic, you have to go, where every other person is taking one step, be ready to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps to be to level the playground. So that's it. So you can, the resources internationally, even if we can't find in
locally,
Nigeria, yes. So you can make use of it. Thank God for technology. It's brought this to us. So please take advantage of it.
Okay, let me throw that back at you, the flip coin again. So technology. So why have you not seen genetically modified systems or mechanisms to correct this? If it's gene related, why are science not find a way to deal with this?
Well, I don't want to go controversial about this. Personally, I don't see why dyslexia should be corrected. We've had even internationally, we've had famous and important people who have been dyslexic. I do not see dyslexia as a problem, really. It's just an educational system that was designed that doesn't work for us. If the system can expand to accommodate every student,
from the word go,
everybody will strive.
Brilliant. That's a brilliant one she's just given us there. So don't start to modify it. Don't start to give us genetically modified organisms. Now, okay, this is, I don't have this name correctly. It says, my name, Temilola Akiade from Lagos. I'm highly impressed, and I think I've learned a lot of new things. But how can dyslexia be totally corrected in an adult? Thanks. That's his, you want to call that name? That's his Temilola Akiade.
Okay, Temilola Akiade, corrected again. I don't know why you want to correct it. Learn to work with dyslexia. If you have difficulties learning sound, learning words, find ways or reach out and we can see how we can help you. Just learn to work with any area where you actually have challenges. Learn to work with it. Find ways to complement it. If you lack in writing, make up for it in oral. If you lack something, there's something to do. It's not really that complicated.
Well,
it's
okay.
Complicated, but it's not that.
Temilola, if I may borrow her brain, what she's saying that don't close the doors on yourself, don't shut yourself in, and then you make the case worse. Okay. Now we have Oyekemi Idris. I would like to ask her what is really the motivation behind this for you, and also where do you see this organization going to in the coming years?
Okay, the motivation for me is I do not want to have another student go out of the system like I already wanted to. If not for the kind of family I was born into,
you're probably walking the street now.
It would have been worse.
Yes.
So now let's think about it. What of those who are in my shoes and do not have the kind of family that I have? What is happening to them? So I'm trying to ensure that we don't have dyslexics roaming the street. We don't have dyslexics written off from the society. We deserve a place in this world as well.
Okay, one more question here before we'll let Doyin go away from here. It says, I wanted to ask, in a situation where by a child a process. How can the university or institution deal with that? Is that what it's trying to say? Help in admission process of such a student. I think this is Banji. So a dyslexic, so how would the university help? Admission process.
Okay, for admission process again, it still comes down to them expanding testing, standardized testing, expanding the route for standardized testing, and also changing the policy.
To make it all more inclusive.
Yes, to make it more inclusive. Let there be more ways to test students. So even beyond them getting admission, when they're also
in the school, how would they learn?
Let them be able, teach them in the ways that they can learn. I tell everybody who is fighting for the right of education, great that you're fighting for access of children to gain access to education, but let's also take a sit back. Let's also fight for the quality of education that the students are getting. Yes. So that's what we hope to do with One World Africa, to expand our reach and ensure that there are more opportunities for dyslexics in Nigeria and outside of the country.
Okay, so the way forward, coming years, are you sure you're not going to get tired of this? Are you sure you're not going to be sapped by the overwhelming burden? Number one, because the policy support that should have been there in the first place is not there. Internationally, yes, you're getting, because our environment recognizes what you're dealing with, and therefore they're making provisions. So how are you going to overcome all that?
Well, I've already put things to perspective. Before, when I had so much faith and I was daydreaming, I felt like
this can flip over.
Blah blah blah. I so as not to get frustrated, so as not to be desperate, we would continue to do that which we can handle in our capacity. But I am not going to give up on dyslexia. Dyslexia has put me through, this journey has put me through worse, and I'm still here, and I will still be here. I would ensure it is my dream and my utmost desire to see dyslexics excel in high places in this country, and it would happen.
Okay, when you say through your worst, so you cannot go further than this. It cannot be worse than this.
It can be worse than this.
So we are aiming for your best now.
Yes.
Now, if you're going to draw models, we might not get locally because our data are still very poor. But if you're going to draw models, like role models, inspirations, influencers, creatives who have gone through this process, and they are now sitting on top of. So, who would you cite, for instance, that you know?
Well, we have in Nigeria, as a matter of fact. Well, they're not popular people, but I'm very proud of what they've achieved despite their dyslexia. We know someone, Ike Oduwa, is a big brother host, and everybody is very conversant with Ike. He has recounted the fact that he lives with dyslexia and all of that, and Ike is doing well despite of it. We have Demilade Robert. He's a photographer. He also is known in the media space. So we have that. But if we're looking at large scale internationally, those who have done things, we have Richard Branson, we have Tom Cruise, we have Thomas Edison.
Richard Branson?
Yes, Richard Branson. He is dyslexic. Yes, he is dyslexic. And we can recount that he struggled with school and all of that. Yes, so we have people, famous people. Dyslexia would not stop you. Dyslexia cannot stop you. It's not a deficiency that would ruin you from. The system might make it
worse.
Yes, but
or complicated.
But we hope that it gets better.
Now, okay. Now, I'm sure the last question there, really, because it's saying that's from Banji. I'm sure Banji is a little bit worried about going further. Now, you are back to school.
Yes.
How did you manage to get into school then? How did you scale through?
Okay. How did I get back into school? I know how to cram to pass exams, and that's really what I do in school. But
now by rote.
Now, however, I go the extra mile to help me understand, because I got frustrated in the school system before when all I did was cram to pass exams, and I go through my old notes and I wonder what exactly
it was this about. Yeah.
So now I'm doing a course that I love, and I'm chasing like a career that I want.
So what are you studying now?
Psychology. I'm a student of psychology, and
you want to see how you can use that also to enhance the push in this, because after all, this is basically about the mind.
Yes, that's the hope, to be able to help dyslexics. I've been helping from a place of personal experience.
Yes.
I want to also add expertise to it, being certified, because That's like a major thing in Nigeria as well.
Yeah, because you don't have the certificate, that means you don't have...
So that's it.
Okay, now, but how about, let's go back to parenting. So, when parents are confronted with issues like this, starting from your own example now, when they are confronted with issues like this, what should they do?
First and foremost, parents need to step back from, I understand why you want your children to attain, excel in academics and all of that. And I also know that it is expensive. Education in Nigeria is expensive. You're paying so much for school fees and your child will bring home one result. It can be very frustrating. I can relate to that. But I think that we should please step back. We should, let's even figure, let's weigh, what is more important to us? Is it the education or the well-being of your child? Yes. Really, let's look at these things in perspective. You can also help your child,
as a parent.
You can work with your child's teacher. You can advocate for your child in school when the teacher is doing what the teacher shouldn't be doing. You can sit with your child at home and also try to help them with these other coping mechanisms for dyslexia. Everything is not flogging or everything. Really, it won't work. That's the thing. I even tell every parent, no amount of time you flog your child, it's not going to help them learn the thing that they've not learned. And if you even make them repeat that classroom, they're just repeating that same method that was given to them that they failed in the first place. The method is not new, so they will still struggle.
Okay, so psychologically, everybody must come to that party. That's what you're saying. So yes. The parents must have their own load to carry, and the child also must have. That's what you're saying.
Yes, everybody has to. It's a partnership. Everybody needs to work together. Teachers, parents, and children or people who have dyslexia. Everybody needs to come together to work. We're hoping that the government will join as well, but everybody, it's a hand-in-hand thing for it to get better. And
by extending that framework, we are also looking at the workplace. I mean, some of the managers in the workplace must also recognize this and begin to use the best of their personnel rather than make them do the things that they're not good at. One time I was having a discussion with someone who was dyslexic, and he was saying that he was about to get a job, but he's scared that he might not be able to do stuff. And we went about, what about even saying that you're dyslexic in your CV? And you know what will happen? You won't get the job. In the first place, that is, if you write the CV, I say I'm dyslexic, they will also, okay, okay, thank you. You don't come for the interview.
So, but I'm just trying to advocate for people also, the HRs and all of these people. It is at your best interest to have an employee in an area where they excel at than have them in an area where they struggle. It's faster, it is more productive, it saves time, it saves cost. It helps
and it adds value.
Honestly,
yeah, it adds value.
So that's it. That's my take. That's my gift to you today.
Okay, all right. So let's wrap it up for everybody. So for the dyslexic, what would you say to them if they have done self-diagnosis like you did? You had the courage to do that. So what would you want to say to them? And for those who are hiding away in the cupboard, those who are still denying it, that's not what it's not my passion.
Well, self-diagnosis is not enough. We have new methods of dyslexia diagnosis. Also, currently in Nigeria, we are partnering with a particular organization as well for that. So I did not just do self-diagnose as well. I'm also been diagnosed because it's very important to also know the areas where you struggle.
That's true.
It's beyond just knowing that there's dyslexia. Knowing the fact that you're dyslexic and not knowing the areas where you struggle will not even help you to know the areas where you need to improve at. So that's it. So
you need to see a professional.
You need to see a professional.
Okay.
But then I know the old gap as well of getting a professional. So in the process of that, you can do what I call the first aid. That's the self-diagnosis, where you also do a self-evaluation. This is where I struggle at. Then you research on how you can improve or reach out to someone. You can reach out to me. That's it.
That'll be a load on you. You're already in school, so by the time people start reaching out to you, how do you want to cope with all this thing?
Well, I have a team.
Oh, great.
And It has always been a load, but a load that we're willing to carry. So please reach out. We would, as much as possible, try to reply you as early, but we would definitely get to you. As long as you send a message to us, we would definitely get a response. At most, it would take a week, but you will get.
But you get a response.
Definitely.
Okay, now before we wrap it, I don't want to leave on a bad note, but globally, Nigeria is ranked to have to house the largest number of out-of-school children.
Yes. That's a sad reality of Nigeria, but let's also refrain that quotes here. Most of the time when we're thinking out of school and the society is thinking out of school, when we're trying to solve the problem, even the government, we're thinking about maybe lack of funds. Funds is one of the causes. We have people who can afford school fees. I could go to any school I wanted to go to, and I was out of school. So finances are not just the limitation, or they're not the only reasons why we have students out of school. So I needed to have that.
All right. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for coming on the show, and it's been quite brilliant. So we hope to have you again. Maybe we want to review towards the end of the year what we have been able to achieve with One World Africa.
I look forward to that.
Yes, thank you very much. And for our viewers, well, we always say that without you, this show will not go on. So, and we expect you to join us with your comments and your questions, because that's actually what this is all about. It's about you and about our guests. So thank you for watching, and bye for now.